to be an overhang on the stock. Back to you.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for that, Sonia. Well, Prakash Diwan is with us. Prakash, what do you make of the Royal Enfield? The stock is flying away as we speak. Yesterday, the bit of a worry was that the Hunter sales are good. The problem is that only adds volumes, but it dilutes margins. But seems the street likes that today. And Bharat Forge, as Sonia mentioned, well, disappointing set of numbers out there. The stock has taken a hard knock. Your view on both these two stocks?
So, yeah, good afternoon, Nigel. So let me take Bharat Forge first. I think the concerns that have been voiced around the overseas businesses is definitely, those are very genuine, given the fact that there's a lot of investment that's gone into some of these businesses over the last many years. And anything that, any kind of a slowdown like this ends up giving you very, very dilutive, very poor metrics. You know, the ROC certainly looks so pathetic. So Bharat Forge, which always is from an industry or a sector which is otherwise fairly cyclical, but always had premium being accorded to it given its market share and its leadership strength, needs to justify that to continue with those PE multiple, right? But what's good about Bharat Forge is that entire focus on repositioning themselves and then branding themselves under the Kalyani banner for defense is superlative. I think if you ask me, after 5 years, we'll be talking about Bharat Forge as a pure play defense name and you know, probably being the poster boy of sorts for the Atmanirbhar defense drive that we are seeing underway right now. So there's going to be a lot of positives coming out of that. But then, you know, it may not be timed perfectly where the slowdown in the overseas business is getting compensated with the uptick in the defense or the railways or the non-passenger business, as some of the reports talked about. So there could be those mismatches, but those are opportunities to buy in, Nigel. So that's my view. I would look at it from a longer term perspective and only focus on defense, and eventually the management will also start gearing up towards allocating more capital towards that. So that's one. On iShares, I think it's too early to uncork the bubbly, you know, just because, you know, Hunter's sales have been doing well, and it was bound to do well because it was a niche that was vacant, you know, affordable price point, but gives you that, you know, huge power kind of a trip of 350cc kind of feel, you know, so all of that was very nice in terms of positioning, but it's going to be difficult for, you know, when you talk about demand contraction, demand contraction has a little bit of this effect that it percolates to different segments at different points in time. So when you're seeing rural demand contracting, there will be some sort of a discretionary urban demand also, which will get impacted, is my guess. So you will have a little bit of that slowdown. And price elasticity is a big thing in India on these kind of things, right? So it's not going to be easy for them to ramp up sales. But I think the margin improvement is coming from the Volvo side, if you really understand, because we've seen Tata Motors, Ashok Leyland, all of them talk about very decent upticks in their CV businesses. And that's the piece that's probably aiding them. But too soon to talk about 4,000 plus kind of levels.
Okay, so you're not holding your breath just yet, I guess, on this one. Prakash, got it. Let's pull up Tech Mahindra, by the way. Nigel was making that point about the big IT rally, and I mean, Tech Mahindra is really displaying that. Stock is at the day's high, 6%. It has now taken over as the Nifty winner, toppled Apollo Hospitals in the tally as we speak. And that's a huge move on Tech Mahindra. Other IT stocks are also doing quite okay today, but Tech Mahindra is the big one. Pull up Infosys, TCS, or Wipro for that matter. You'll see some green, you know, a little bit of green here and there. But TechM is really the breathtaking mover, so to speak. Prakash, your thoughts on this? I mean, and absolutely right. As Nigel pointed out, the Nifty IT, I was just checking, is up 8% for the year. Nifty's gone nowhere. It's actually down about 1% for the year. So would you bet on frontline IT, mid-cap IT? How would you play it for the next at least couple of months?
Good afternoon, Surbi. So, you know, look at today's market. You know, you have advanced declines, which are even Steven, just about that 1,000 mark. You know, at times it's less than 1,000, more than 1,000, but it's just out there, balanced out. You look at the Nifty movement, you rightly pointed at the start of the show, it's in a band of just 50 points. I mean, you can't get narrower than this. So what's happening is none of these sectors have been able to move the needle too much for the Nifty to really make a difference. I mean, today you have Reliance, which is 2% up, but the Nifty is still flat. So, you know, these are days that manifest or that represent the nature of the market, the mood of the market. The mood of the market is of indecisiveness. You really don't have much of triggers beyond the earnings season. You've got the budget, the US Fed, everything, you know, behind you. And now the markets will be looking at something positive in terms of growth, and that could only come if you start seeing numbers for this quarter, the current quarter, end up well. So there's a lot that's spinning on this quarter, not disappointing as much as Q3 has done. But from an IT sector perspective, I think it's too early. The new contracts that you will probably start seeing getting commissioned, or Rima is sitting with you. She knows that it's not going to be easy for discretionary spends to come back. And then when you look at Info Edge and hear some of the commentaries that's coming in, it's still, the winter is still on, for this IT sector. It's going to be a while before that revives. So I wouldn't be in a hurry. But Tech Mahindra has its own, headwinds, and that's primarily the 5G rollout. The aggressive 5G rollout that you're seeing is actually going to help them tremendously in terms of scaling up revenue and a very decent margin profile as well. So that's where they're coming from.
Okay, that could be an additional trigger. Got that, Prakash. Stay on. We have to take a break, Prashant. I was just thinking when, Prakash made that point, all the big triggers are done, budget is done, policy is done, Fed has done what it has. People are saying rates have peaked off. All of that is done and the market hasn't taken off. Remember, we were saying after budget, everything gets out of the way, then the market takes off because we've been kind of sitting quiet since the start. But that's an interesting point in itself.
You missed one factor which no one anticipated, the Hindenburg Adani.
So
that was absolute. That came out of the blue, right?
Yeah,
and I think if you remember the day of the budget, more than the budget, it was basically that was the story which was playing out, right?
Market,
Absolutely. By the way, I was thinking you were going to comment on the winter summer, which Prakash alluded to. I stepped out for a bit. I mean, it's hot, and I'm dreading the summer. So
memories of winter in Bombay, it's gone.
So on Monday, Mumbai's temperature was 37.3 degrees.
Oh dear.
We're still in February. That was the peak on Monday, 37.3
but Prakash
degrees.
is talking about the proverbial
funding winter, the
So-
startup funding winter.
Right.
Okay, let's get into a break on that note. On the other side, we'll be joined by our Alpha manager, Aditya Sood of Incred PMS on the other side.